And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a mining game called Rockwell, which has kind of a stark cover here with this lantern here. And this game is about mining to the center of the earth. It is a Euro-style game where you're going to be collecting cubes and worker placement, a lot of these terms we're throwing around, but essentially you're going to take mining teams and go down and try to find cubes, and you're kind of working with other people, but you're helping each other, but you want to help yourself most of all. Here's a little bit, kind of a quick overview of how it plays. The whole point of Rockwell is digging down into this functional separated board here, and so it's going to be made up of different pieces. They're put in different layers, every other, and players are going to have different digging crews. They all start at level 1, but as the game goes by they can upgrade to level 2, 3, and 4. So players may, let's say this one upgraded to level 2 and moves here, and then these two move here. That is a total of 4, and you'll notice that this one's a 4, so then this one is revealed. Now on this, there is a white cube, which this would give every turn if someone builds a mining shaft there. However, more than likely though, you're going to draw a card from the deck every time you go to a new one, and there's different cards that correspond to each of these numbers. You'll turn it over, and this shows the cubes. So 3 digging crews went down, so we would split these 3 ways. Each of us would get a blue cube, a brown cube, and a white cube. That would leave 1 leftover blue cube, which would go to the white player since they sent down the biggest and mining crew. And if there's a tie, there's the person who actually moves there. There's different ways to break the tie. And you're going to want to get these cubes because these cubes are how you get points over the course of the game. These boards here keep track of the rounds of the game. And in each round of the game, players are going to follow actions. Now these boards are double-sided because they will switch depending on the number of players. Some of the things will change. What players are going to do is they have 2 vice presidents, which are workers, and you're going to be placing them in different spots. Players will take turns placing them, and you can place them wherever you want. You simply just can't place them both on the same board. This board's important because this board determines the order of people digging. So you'll have some markers here to show who's going to go first in the order of digging. But players can also bribe, which means you can use an action to pull another digging team into an area to help you out, or you can hire these mercenaries who, let's say I pay for a 3 mercenary team, add them to a 2 digging crew. Now I have a 5 digging crew, which can get me to things that are good. But it also determines digging. Then there's 4 digging actions that are going to happen, and then any mines. That any shafts you built will produce goods. And on this board, after we're done with the mining, on this board you can buy or sell cubes for the prices. You'll see blue cubes are the cheapest, while gold is 1,000. And players can do that so many times based on how many are underneath the actions that they've chosen. And then down here on the last board, you're going to buy things. You can spend cubes to take these. These are simply victory points. I could turn in 2 blue cubes for a victory point, or 2 gold cubes for 2 victory points. But as time goes by, I can get up to, like the last one here is, 8 gold cubes for 3 victory points. Players are also going to be able to upgrade. Each player has their own player board, and you can pay amounts to upgrade. First, your digging crews can move 1 in any direction. But when you upgrade them to the second level, then your digging crews can go 2 horizontally and 1 vertically. And then when you get to this level here, then you can straddle 2 of the digging areas. So I can put maybe a digging team like this, and so I have 3 on this board and 3 on this board. And then the last one you can move vertically 2 and horizontally 2, and all these stack too. You also can upgrade your digging teams from 1, 2 to 3 to 4. You can upgrade your safety features. Whenever you go digging, before you go digging, players are allowed to turn in any cubes for insurance. Now you might want to get insurance because when you're drawing the card, sometimes there's a hazard, there's a cave-in or something, and each player has to lose cubes equal to the strength of their mining team. Well, these insurance can cover that, and you can still get the cubes, but you're eventually going to want to upgrade to a level where you're always protected from losing 1 cube. and then always protect it from losing 3 cubes, and then you'll never lose cubes according to hazards. So these are all things that you can do. Also on your board, there are spots where when you accomplish something, you'll take a victory point marker. So for example, if I get 10 gray cubes, I take this victory point marker and put it here. If I'm the first person to get 3 of my teams to level 2, I'll put a victory point marker here. If I'm the first one to move a crew and kill it into the center of the earth. And all these are stacked near the board, so the first person to do each of these is going to get more victory points. And then you can also buy mining shafts on this board, which will produce cubes for you each turn. Now obviously, as you get closer to the center of the earth, the goods on the tiles will get better, but not only that, the cards themselves will get better. For example, this level 4 gives us 4 blue cubes and 7 brown cubes, while this level 10 gives me 1 blue cube, 5 brown cubes, and 7 gold cubes. Players will do this entire thing for 4 rounds, and then these discs that you have bought, or these tiles that you've bought, plus the tiles that you have gotten, plus turning in cubes, and whoever has the most of each type will get points. So if you get maybe 3 points for having the most blue cubes and 3 points for having the most yellow cubes, and so on and so forth, and the most points is the winner of the game. Now there's a lot of moving pieces to Rockwell. When I first went through it, there was the setup and the boards and the money, and I was like, wow, there's so many pieces. But the gameplay itself is pretty simple. You are essentially buying and selling resources. There's no real buy low, sell high type thing. It's just that sometimes you're trading one resource for another type. You're trying to accomplish goals, which are very straightforward. The game is all about maneuvering those mining teams down. And you can mine stuff right away, which is something I always like. I want to be able to do something turn 1. You can. Even if you're playing with fewer players, and some of the stuff changes with fewer players, but even with 3 players, you can easily mine something on the first turn, even if you have to move 2 of your own things there. And the game has that very intriguing thing, because the way that the cards are made, the things just don't divvy up very well. For example, this level 9 has 5 grays and 6 yellows. In a 4-player game, that means everyone gets a gray and everyone gets a yellow. And then whoever has the most gets another gray and another 2 yellows, another 2 gold. That's a big deal, because that stuff's worth a lot. And so you're trying to, you want to work together, because I'll say, yeah, sure, I'll send a mining crew in there, I'll get something, but I want to get the most. But then again, getting something with a lot of people can help too. But you got to kind of have a focus, and I think this game's going to take several plays, and I do wonder if the game has longevity because of that, because essentially you're going for the same goals. I want to get a bunch of each Q color to get those goals. I want to upgrade my mining equipment, but I do like the fact that some of the things that you don't need to do, like the safety gear, you don't need to get safety gear, but you get hit by a couple of those hazards, which are random and you never are sure when they're going to come, will make you think twice about that. Is it better to have 2 level 1 miners and then buff the other ones up to level 4s and move those around, because you can do a lot with 2 4s? Or should you put them all up evenly? Where's all this money coming from? Money's tight-ish, but what's really tight is the fact that you only have 2 vice presidents. For a worker placement game, this one I always was like, I'm feeling the pinch, because you can put one out there to control turn order when you're mining and get the mercenaries that you need, or bribery that you need, or go first, which may be the thing that you need. And that's all well and good, but then you can't buy or sell cubes, which you may need to do, and you definitely need money to do upgrades, and you want to do the upgrades. So sometimes I would do the mining and the buying and selling goods. Upgrades. All right, we'll wait till next turn. Now, I always felt in this game that there's not enough that you can do. I like Rockwell. I think the theme is good. There's always some laughter about that first team that goes into the middle. Guys, we found a... and they're gone. I don't know. We always laugh about that. And it's like, yes, I'm suiciding this squad for the glory of whatever my mining company is. But there's a lot of back and forth, and you have to know the right time to switch in the blue cubes, or even sometimes you might want to hold on to them, because at the end of the game, that's how you get points. The game is a race. It's only 4 rounds, but each round is pretty long, because you're going to move the mining things 4 times, and there's a worker placement phase. But again, like I said, the game looks more complex than it is. It's pretty simple. Once you understand that simplicity, you realize it's a little more complex than you thought, so there's kind of like a little bit of a curve there. This is not going to be for everybody. Even myself, I wouldn't want to play it all the time. But I do like the theme, the board, everything kind of fits together. It gives me a reason for why I'm going after these cubes for the glory of my mining company. And this is a pretty solid game, Rockwell. Dice Tower Judgment, approved!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.